Welcome to World Wrap, your global snapshot for Friday, May 16, 2025. Here's what's happening around the world. Truce extended in South Asia amidst high tensions. U.S. President Trump concludes Middle East tour with multi-billion-dollar deals in UAE. And Europe grapples with trade, sanctions, and the future of farming. These stories and more, coming right up. In South Asia, a fragile calm continues as Pakistan announced today that the ceasefire with India along the line of control in Kashmir will be extended until May 18th. This comes after days of intense cross-border strikes last week that brought the nuclear-armed neighbors to the brink of a wider conflict. Indian Defense Minister Rajnath Singh visited Jammu and Kashmir yesterday for a high-level security review. While the truce appears to be holding, both nations maintain heightened military preparedness. International calls for sustained de-escalation and dialogue persist. In China, Premier Li Qiang stressed the importance of leveraging the stability and long-term growth of the domestic economy to cushion against global uncertainties, speaking at a State Council meeting yesterday. This follows a recent easing of key monetary policy tools aimed at boosting growth amid weak consumption and ongoing trade tensions with the U.S. China is also actively seeking to strengthen alliances, as seen with President Xi Jinping's recent visit to Russia and the China-CELAC Forum with Latin American and Caribbean states earlier this week. On the trade front, while a temporary 90-day tariff reduction agreement was reached with the U.S. last weekend, analysts highlight that a long road remains for comprehensive negotiations. Across Africa, the World Summit on the Information Society, WSIS+20, Africa Regional Review, concludes today in Cotonou, Benin. The event has focused on digital transformation, leveraging technology like AI for economic growth, and bridging the digital divide across the continent. This comes as the 16th Africa Bank 4.0 Summit also wraps up in Nairobi, Kenya, which highlighted innovations in financial inclusion and sustainable banking. In South Africa, President Ramaphosa's Operation Vulindlela continues to drive structural economic reforms. Diplomatic activity includes the Finnish president's visit to Tanzania this week, discussing the new global order and strengthening ties. In Australia, battery recycling firm Lithium this week broadened its partnership with electric vehicle maker BYD Australia to include battery energy storage systems, aiming to enhance lithium-ion battery recycling across Oceania. This aligns with Australia's significant investments in renewable energy, including the ongoing construction of large-scale solar and storage projects like Iberdrola's Broadsound facility in Queensland. In New Zealand, discussions continue around proposed social media restrictions for minors and healthcare system reforms. The Secretary-General of ASEAN, Dr. Kao Kim Horn, concluded a working visit to New Zealand on May 14th, focused on strengthening regional partnerships. U.S. President Donald Trump concluded his Middle East tour today in the United Arab Emirates after a significant stop in Qatar yesterday. In the UAE, the White House announced new commercial deals worth over $200 billion, including agreements for Etihad Airways to invest in Boeing aircraft and GE engines, and collaborations in AI infrastructure, semiconductors, and energy. The US and UAE also signed an AI agreement supporting a $1.4 trillion UAE investment framework in US tech sectors, with commitments from the UAE to align national security regulations with the US concerning technology diversion. This follows multi-billion-dollar deals announced in Saudi Arabia earlier in the week. The humanitarian situation in Gaza remains dire, with ongoing international pressure for increased aid access and a sustainable ceasefire. Saudi Arabia continues to be active in regional diplomacy, leveraging mediation and humanitarian efforts. In the United Kingdom, the focus remains on the economic outlook following the Bank of England's interest rate cut last week, with new inflation data keenly awaited. Across the European Union, member states are navigating complex trade dynamics, including the recent US-China tariff agreement and its potential implications. The EU is also moving forward with its own agenda on digital regulation and green energy transition. Plans to reset UK-EU relations are reportedly facing some hurdles over issues like fishing rights and youth mobility. In Germany, Chancellor Friedrich Merz's new government continues to solidify its policy positions. In Russia, the country observed its Victory Day on May 9 with Chinese President Xi Jinping in attendance, a significant display of their strategic alignment. Russian military officials continue to frame the ongoing war in Ukraine in historical terms, justifying a prolonged conflict. Heavy fighting was reported in eastern Ukraine over the past 24 hours despite Russia's earlier unilateral ceasefire declaration for the Victory Day period having officially ended. In Latin America, the recent China-CELAC forum in Beijing highlighted China's deepening engagement with the region, focusing on trade, investment, and technological cooperation. Brazil is moving forward with plans after being named the host for the 2027 FIFA Women's World Cup. The country's Supreme Court continues to address cases related to the January 2023 unrest in Brasilia. Argentina's government is pushing ahead with economic austerity and reform measures, which have seen some initial positive signals in terms of reduced sovereign risk, but face ongoing domestic challenges. In Mexico, campaigning for the upcoming presidential election continues, with economic and security policies at the forefront. Countries like Chile and Colombia are managing their economies amidst global commodity price fluctuations. In culture, the Cannes Film Festival continues in France, showcasing global cinema. Today is also recognized by the UN as the International Day of Living Together in Peace. In tech news, India is advancing indigenous quantum technology standards, with policymakers and industry leaders meeting this week to discuss building a self-reliant quantum ecosystem. And in sports, the Indian Premier League is reportedly navigating player availability issues as it prepares to resume following a brief pause due to regional tensions. That's World Wrap for Friday, May 16, 2025. Like and follow us for more daily updates from around the globe. See you tomorrow. Outro music fades out.